Today, a topic so provocative, I'm obliged to give a disclaimer. Parents, you may want to have your kids leave the room. Pornographic images. We're surrounded by them. The modern technological invasion has opened the floodgates of porn, allowing more access than ever before. And a shocking new study has found porn to be the surprising new cause for erectile dysfunction. To get the full scope of what is happening and what you need to know about this, I brought together the leading experts in sexual health. Sexuality counselor, Dr. Ian Kerner, psychiatrist, Dr. Sue Varma, and urologist, Dr. Andrew Kramer. So, Dr. Varma, why are we just now identifying this concept of pornography-induced erectile dysfunction?
So pornography has been around for a long time. Erotic images and movies, they've been around, right? But porn is now more accessible, more available, and more acceptable than it ever has been. So a lot of wives are actually encouraging their partners to watch porn together or even alone. And you also see that high-speed internet makes the accessibility to porn, it's such an instant gratification. And we see for younger people that this, for many of them, pornography is their first sexual experience. So this is how they're kind of getting socialized to sex. Again, creating sort of a very high bar or unrealistic expectation of what should happen in the bedroom.
And Dr. Kerner, how common is it really?
Yeah, well, you know, this is really a new kind of ED, and shockingly, it doesn't really fit the standard profile. It's really guys in their 20s and 30s who would never normally experience ED who are having this issue. And as Dr. Varma said, what you have to understand is that men have unprecedented access to internet porn in a way that previous generations never had. As a result, they are touching themselves and masturbating differently. They have higher thresholds for excitement that make it harder to focus on their partners. They are tasking their libidos and their sexual stamina in new ways, and very often they are surprised as anyone. They're coming to me and sort of saying, hey, I don't get it. Why am I not able to perform in the bedroom when I'm with an actual person?
I'm keying into two observations here. One, it's young people. And Dr. Varma, you mentioned that wives are okay with this, which my wife's not going to be okay with this. but we'll come back on these concepts. I think there's a lot of shame around this conversation, which holds us back. Dr. Kramer, as a urologist, let's get into the real reason why erectile dysfunction happens when you have a porn-induced cause. I had not thought about that having anything to do with the usual reasons we fear erectile dysfunction.
When we talk about erectile dysfunction, you're right, it does cause erectile dysfunction, but you have to think about the spectrum of things that we might mean when we talk about that. Could be things ranging from lack of sensation, lack of desire, lack of intimacy with their partner, or anorgasmia, which is inability to achieve orgasm. All of these things can be done by pornography. And why? We've already referred to it as desensitization. It just takes more and more new and novel things to get there. You're hitting those dopamine receptors in the brain over and over again to try to achieve the same result, and you just need more and more of it. And in some cases, we see ED where men prefer porn to their partners. And in that scenario, there's two problems. First, there's all the shame and guilt, which Dr. Varma is going to talk about. But also, men may just not be able to achieve erection again. They've already achieved what they needed with pornography. They may be in that so-called refractory period where they've already achieved orgasm. They can't do it again when they're with their partner because they've already been watching porn during the day.
So, Dr. Varma, how much porn is too much porn for a man to watch?
So when I see couples in my practice, and often this question comes up, and it's often the wife that's bringing this up, that my husband is watching, and how do I know it's a problem? I feel uncomfortable by it. So I ask them, three important questions. Do you need more and more porn watching to get the same effect? Is the same amount of porn that you're watching not giving you the same effect? And are you spending a lot of time and money and effort and energy trying to obtain access to the computer secretly? And finally, what kind of a problem is this causing in your marriage? Is there impairment as a result? Is this causing a rift between you two? Are you unable to have sex conventionally without using porn? And also, are you getting in trouble at work? So for a lot of people, they might be surfing the internet or going to certain websites that they shouldn't be, and they've gotten in trouble or they've gotten some red slips because of it. So for me, that's the hallmark. Is there a significant impairment in your life as a result of porn? So it could be 5 minutes, it could be 2 hours. What's more important is the problems that it's causing, not so much the time, because for each person is different. What might be a problem for one person might be old hat for another.
I'm going to ask the big question that is on my mind, which is very precisely, how does watching pornography lead to erectile dysfunction? I mean, do we actually understand that relationship?
Yes. And, when we normally think of ED, we think of, older gentlemen, we think of cardiovascular problems or diabetes. And what's so strange here is that everything might be working in the genitalia. That's not the problem. The problem is up here. And when I say up here, I don't mean necessarily a psychological problem. I'm talking about a physiological problem. So desire and arousal The seat of that is in the brain. And particularly, there's certain dopamine pathways, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter. And when you eat chocolate, whether you're bungee jumping, whether you're having sex, that area in the brain lights up if we were to look at functional imaging. And what's happening is that over time, there's so much dopamine being blasted and being dumped into the synapses, the space between the neurons, that over time there becomes a desensitization, a burnout, I call it, and a numbness, so that the same kind of sex with their partner does not achieve the same kind of result. The person has to rely on porn after some time to get an erection.